It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know.
News update.
This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag college basketball.
Uzan on the right-hand wing, stops with 7 seconds, gives it to Cryer, 6 seconds to go, 5 seconds to Sharp, top of the key, lost the dribble, he's got to pick it up, it's scooped up by Condon secures it, and Florida found a way! From 12 down to the school's third national championship in men's basketball. 65-63 the final. The Florida Gators are the national champions once again.
Oh, what a game. Morning, y'all. Thanks for listening. Holy cow, was that an unbelievable game? Florida rallying from a 12-point deficit to beat Houston 65-63 and win it all. Their third one. They got two in a row, almost 20 years ago or so with Billy Donovan. Well, Richard scored 18 points in the win for Florida and Houston. Oh, the Big 12 brethren couldn't get off a shot at the end, wasted time. You know what was amazing? I don't think Florida in the second half, they didn't take the lead till under a minute to go. Wow. What a heartbreak for Houston.
Kind of what happened with Houston against Duke the game before it.
Yeah. Houston. Yeah. Right, exactly. That Duke game was incredible. This game was incredible. I think both games Saturday were really good. I mean, when I say really good, in terms of close competition, it's college, bunch of mistakes, that type of thing. It's not the best basketball you're going to see, but I'm okay with that. I understand that these guys, although many of them are paid like professionals, they're not that good compared to the NBA players for sure. So I think that you just roll with that a little bit. But in terms of excitement, disappointment, it reminded me the only time I was in the Alamo Dome to watch basketball. I've been in that dome to watch basketball and football. Utes played there against Texas in the Alamo Bowl a few years back. And this reminded me of the Utah game and the painful memories that the Utes have and the Ute fans have for up by 10.5 and then losing the game to Kentucky. Same type of thing for Houston. I was sort of pulling for them and didn't really matter. I was probably wanting the Houston Cougars to represent the Big 12 and get a win so we don't have to hear more about the SEC. But they couldn't get it done. I saw Sampson with his interview, obviously downtrodden, 69 years old. What are the chances of being back there? Well, the Utes have never been back since.
Yeah, the program themselves, they've made 7 Final Fours, PK, and have never come out on top. They've made, I think, just 4 national championship games in those 7 Final Fours as well.
Yeah, and that was painful in 84 with Olajuwon and Drexler. Dave Rose was on that team. I think it was 84, right? Was it 85?
It was 84. They made 3 straight Final Four runs in that 82, 83, 84 run, and yeah, brutal.
Yeah. Sucks for them. So basketball season is over, but basketball news continues. BYU freshman Egor Demin, he's going to hold a press conference at 10 o'clock. Yak, we got to get the BYU TV to start at 9 so it could be during our show.
Well, so this is interesting because they made it sound like it was going to be an exclusive on BYU TV, but this is a formal press conference he's holding, and then he will be on BYU TV. But to your point, yes, we do need to have him start a little bit earlier.
Yeah. Get Bagley. We got connections with Ben Bagley.
Ben, fix this.
He's got some stuff down there to be able to help us out. And I do believe that he's going to turn pro. That's where I stand right now. I believe he gone. We can get to that in coming up in the next segment. We'll just leave it at that. Let's move on to the NBA.
Hashtag NBA.
Anderson, he misses, and Khalil does not. Got that one hand up and crammed it down hard. Tyler for 3. It bounces around and in for Boy Wonder. His first make from downtown in 3 tries. That man has 15 points. Make it 18, my bad.
They're missing Jamal Murray last 3 or 4 games. Here's Levine going for another triple. He's got another one. Zach Levine matching his output from downtown just 24 hours ago. Levine now perimeter almost straight away. Launches. He scores the triple. It's the 8th one in 11 attempts. He's got 41 points.
Well, just a couple of games. Usually the NBA doesn't play at all on the Monday night of the college final, but they've got they had 2 games. And, oh, man, I wish he was here. We'd only be able to rate 2 scores because there's only 2 games. And the Kings and 76ers won. What do you freaking do for that? Tonight, Donovan Mitchell, he's going to be out, you say? He's got a sprained ankle that he suffered Sunday against Sacramento. I think this is probably precautionary. I always thought that the NBA playoffs should start on, say, like the Wednesday or Thursday after the college final. I think we're at the height of basketball right now. It's on the mind. But no, they're not going to wait. They're going to wait till next week. In 2 weeks that starts, and then it sort of drags on a little bit. So there you go. Not much going on in the NBA besides that. The Jazz, they are back in action in their next to last home game tomorrow, taking on the Portland Trail Blazers. Okay, let's go to the NFL.
Hashtag NFL.
I think there is unfinished business, and I think, when people think about my story, Coach Carroll was a big part of that. He gave me an opportunity when not many people would have, and he saw, the hard work that I was putting in. He saw the things behind the scenes that I do that allowed me to get this opportunity. But to be able to play for him, and again to be a part of this organization, it means everything to myself and my family. I was just telling him, man, I'll run through a wall for him, and he knows that, and I'll do the same for my teammates and for this organization. And so I just want that to be, kind of who I am, and I want that to be the statement of who I am as the quarterback of this team.
That's Geno Smith with a nice set of thoughts there as far as him reuniting and feeling so good with Pete Carroll. Obviously, they were in Seattle, and now they are down I-15 in Las Vegas with the Raiders. Pete Carroll and Geno Smith have quote-unquote unfinished business, according to Smith, as he met with the media after signing the contract extension that will tie him to the franchise for 3 seasons to play under Pete Carroll, the legendary Pete Carroll. That's a story, man. I'm excited to see what this story does. The Raiders have been just sort of out there. I think the buzz of them being in Vegas is gone. It's about winning. When they first get there, it's exciting to have the team there and all that stuff. But then you move on. And I think that's where we are right now. And we'll see if they can win. What kind of challenge can they give in the AFC West, where we know the Chargers made the playoffs with Harbaugh, and obviously the Chiefs are still a team to be reckoned with. I don't think that their run of greatness is over, if you want to call it a dynasty. It's kind of hard since they didn't win the Super Bowl, but their run of greatness is still there. And what can they do to have them be in the mix? Speaking of the Raiders, I don't know. I don't know how good they're going to be. But you've got a motivated guy in Pete Carroll, obviously wanting to show, if nothing else, the Seattle area that he can still coach, and the NFL that he can still coach in his 70s, where he chews that gum and walks up and down the sidelines with a lot of energy and emotion that he wears on his face, literally. I mean, you can see it during the course of the games. So the Raiders will be a team to watch, I believe, this year. The Panthers took a chance on former college basketball big man Colin Granger, signing the Coastal Carolina product in an attempt to transform the 6'8", 245-pound bruiser into an NFL tight end. Is he going to be the next Tony Gonzalez, Jacques? Basketball player? Tony Gonzalez, did he play basketball at Cal?
He did, but we're talking more about an Antonio Gates, where they legitimately only played college basketball. So Gates was at Kent State for all those years and then becomes an NFL Hall of Famer. You're going to see this, I think, every year, PK. Quite honestly, I'm surprised a guy like Fousseyni Traore hasn't considered this. BYU
Does he even know the rules?
6'6", 250.
Is it another Ziggy Ansah? They got to tell him how to put on the uniform?
Probably would, but it's worth giving him a shot, I would imagine. But you can tell he's a basketball guy, so he probably ends up playing overseas or something like that.
You telling me that Caleb Lohner can make the NFL as a tight end?
Well, he's trying to.
That'd be a great story. I would not be surprised if minimum Lohner is on a practice squad, minimum. Because he's got size, he's got athletic ability, an interesting career starting basketball at BYU, going to Baylor, sitting on the bench. I talked to him during this past season in the fall, and he came to the realization that he wasn't going to play in the NBA, and he said Freddie Whittingham kept pestering him because I believe that the Whittinghams at some point lived on the same block as the Lohners in Provo. Something along those lines. Freddie knew the family and had been talking to him for a couple of years. Why don't you give it a try? And so he goes there last year. And he caught 4 passes, all touchdowns. So he can move. Yeah, if you're athletic enough, why not? But see how they didn't. Manny Hendricks at Utah is in athletic administration now. Played basketball for Utah. And then went down and tried out for the Cowboys and made the team as a defensive back. Yeah, so obviously it's been done before. So we wish him well. And certainly Caleb Lohner, that's a cool story if he can do it. And it'd be fun to see. All right, let's move on to college football.
#college football.
Oh, my gosh, let's start it off right now. Yesterday was huge news coming out of St. George, Utah, or is Pineview in Washington? I'm not sure, but it's the St. George area, obviously. Down south, this kid, Brock Harris, he was a 4-star tight end, or is a 4-star. He's just still a junior in high school, right? He's got next year to play.
Yes.
Well, he announces his decision. What did he do? I think he did a little thing in his gym in high school, the high school.
Yeah, they did the gym. They had a bunch of his fellow classmates there and did a live stream on YouTube.
Live streaming. Now, he had some big-time heavyweights, BYU and Utah, so he was rewarding the locals, at least being in. But the other ones he chose for Georgia, Michigan, Oregon. Anytime, my friends, anytime anybody chooses BYU or Utah over Oregon, it is a day to pop the champagne as far as I'm concerned. So he turned down the big-time schools, the big-time offers, and chooses BYU. Oh, there we go. The Cougars getting the number 1 player in the state. Way to go, Cougars. And I was telling my wife about that yesterday, and she says, well, does BYU use the tight ends a lot? I said, well, they haven't recently, which has sort of been funny because Utah has been using the tight ends more so. For whatever reason or reasons, it hasn't really worked out with the tight ends being as prolific as they used to be at BYU. But this kid, now, is this kid going on a mission? What's the story here?
He does have mission plans, but they're indefinite on when he will go. He could be a guy who plays a year, then goes, or he could go right out of high school.
Because if he goes right out of high school, then it's basically 3 years before he'll even take the field.
See you in 2028, bud.
I know when we look back at time, we say, wow, that went so fast. But 3 years does seem like a long time from now. We would have no idea who the quarterback would be in 3 years, right? Because the 2 guys who are battling for the starting job right now, they would be gone in 3 years, right?
Correct. Like in theory, there's a kid named Enoch Watson who's out of the, up there in the Flagstaff area that's on a mission right now. Could he be the guy at that point? TBD.
Right. And obviously when I said battling for the job, it's just the backup job because everybody knows that Retzlaff is going to be the starter this year. but you got Hillstead and Bourquet are the two guys battling for the backup job, at least to get a leg up on what should be the 26th season. But so much can happen, especially with the transfer portal. But I think it's great news for BYU that they're recruiting, man, being able to get the number one guy, because it seems like that had been tilted toward Utah for so very long. And now the things are evening out, and maybe it's in BYU's favor right now. If you go off last season, if you go off the money, they're running their mouths about how much money they've got available for basketball. There's got to be some money available for football, too. How about this? Well-traveled QB Drew Pine commits to Bowling Green, his fourth program. He started Notre Dame, went to ASU, Missouri. And Bowling Green, they will be coached by Eddie George in the MAC. You know Eddie George. NFL player, Ohio State.
Had a really good run at Tennessee State, and then
yes, he did.
When Bowling Green had this opening pop open, he took the job.
And then this ongoing multi-billion-dollar legal settlement with the potential to reshape the business of college sports moved closer to the finish line during a federal court hearing yesterday. My good woman, federal justice Claudia Wilkin declined to provide final approval of the deal between the NCAA and plaintiff attorneys representing the past, present, and future D1 athletes, but she directed lawyers to address a short list of her remaining concerns. She finished the hearing by saying, "I think it's a good settlement, don't quote me." Well, Yak, you're quoting her.
Hey, I'm just taking it from every other reporter out there who was actually in the federal courthouse there in Oakland, California.
How can I not quote her when we're quoting her?
Well, that's the thing. It's like, I think it's a good settlement. Don't quote me.
Yeah, now you talk to coaches and administrators. They've been talking about this for at least 2 years, and they fully anticipate and expect this thing to get done.
Now, before we move along, PK, one major change that could happen with one of her concerns is she's worried about the roster limits that are being imposed with this. She said there may be a phase-in situation if they can come to an agreement on that, where, you wouldn't maybe necessarily have to cut down from 123 football roster slots to 105 this year. It may be cut down over a set number of years. That'd be cool. That's a change that could be in the offing.
I like that better, especially some kids who are on the team and then they're doing everything they can, and then found out that somebody makes some ruling somewhere, so they have to cut it down. Cuts, no matter who it is always very difficult. All right, let's move on to baseball.
Hashtag Major League Baseball.
Lined in the air, left center field, and deep out toward the wall. It is a one-hopper off the fence. Lindor rounds third. He's heading home. Cutoff throw to the plate is not in time. Lindor slides in feet first safely. Juan Soto goes to the gap in left center field and gives the Mets a 1-0 lead.
The right-hander deals, and on 2-0, Fernando swings, hits one in the air. Deep to left field. You can forget it. All the way out of Sutter Health Park.
Bonda delivers. Swinging a high fly ball left center field deep. Back goes Edman way back at the wall. Going, goodbye! Into the Budweiser red seats in left center field. Bang! Zoom goes James Wood with his second home run of the year.
That's some highlights from the games yesterday. Virtually a full slate of games. I turned it on at Baseball Network during commercials, saw Shohei Ohtani coming up. He's 3 for 3, and he'd already had a home run, a single, and a triple. All he needed was a double, but he could not get it. The Dodgers could not get it. They were at the White House early in the day visiting. Oh, you know who they were visiting. And the Dodgers dropped their third game in their past 4. They lost to the Washington Nationals 6-4. All right, Dodgers coming back to earth a little bit there. See how that goes. I think they'll be fine. The Padres win again. Tatis and Cronenhook homer in the NL West. The Padres trying to keep pace. The Giants finally lost. They had been super hot. Those three teams are off to great starts. Hunter Green, big-time pitcher for the Reds. If you have an opportunity to see him, he's as good as it gets when he's on. And he was on. He throws hard, obviously. He snapped San Francisco's 7-game streak. The Diamondbacks, oh no, bad news. They get worked by the Orioles 5-1, and Ketel Marte, their best player, out with a hammy. They're saying he could miss up to a month of time. So bizarre, man. These guys who are finely tuned athletes. It was a couple of days ago. He hit a double, and he was running in the second base. It was not like it was going to be a close play. I mean, he was moving, but it wasn't going to be bang, bang, where you got to slide and all that and go full speed. And as he's probably three-quarter speed, sort of easing up into second base because it was a gapper. There was no question it was going to be a double. He starts limping, and sure enough, hamstring. Oh, boy. That stinks for them, losing their best player already. But that's sports. There you go. The Yankees, they fall. Andy Ibanez goes deep, a 3-run jackaroonie for Detroit. And Toronto, on the heels of Vladimir Guerrero signing a huge contract, they get 13 hits and win at Fenway. Good for them, huh? We'll see if they can continue, and how good are they going to be. They're expected to be good the last couple of years, but sort of have fallen short. The Bees tonight, here we go. The ballpark at America First Square against the Reno Aces. That's the Diamondbacks AAA. First pitch is set for 6:35. Coverage on 1280 AM will begin at 6:20. Our guy Tony Parks, who does the radio. But this is a big night. This is opening night at the new ballpark. You'll never have this again. I'm excited for them to see what they've got at their new ballpark. I have not been out there. I look forward to getting out there to check it out as the new ballpark is opening out there on the southwest side of our community. Exciting times for the Miller family and the Bees as they open up the new ballpark. All right, let's move on to hockey.
Hashtag NHL.
Hockey team's back in action. They toured the practice facility yesterday.
Beam signing event, PK.
What did you say?
It was a final beam, so the final steel girder that's going up in the practice facility. They had the team and coaches and obviously Ryan and Ashley Smith all sign it before they hoisted it up into the rafters.
And they're talking about letting folks in to watch practice.
Yeah,
that thing will be ready next season, right?
Yeah, so the team will move in apparently September 1st, but it will not be open to the public until the end of the year. But yes, it's going to be a community asset. The ice sheets will be able to be used for youth and adult hockey leagues when the team's not there, have a retail space. It's got a whole lot of features coming in.
I think I'm going to join a men's league, play some hockey.
Let's do it.
So they got Seattle tonight at the Delta Center. The puck drops at 7 p.m. Coverage here on the Zone will begin at 6 with Hockey Night in Utah. That is what is trending. It's brought to you by Shamrock Plumbing. There is no job too big or too small to get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing. Please do that. Support our sponsors. This is Masters Week, so we got Brian Taylor. Now, if he's not there, he's on his way, or probably he's already there. Coming up at 8:05. Scotty G is going to join us at 8:30. Talk about what's going on in college hoop and with the Aggies with spring football. And then we've got our radio guy, the radio voice for the hockey club, Mike Folta, will join us at 9:05. Egor, should he stay or should he go? We really want to know. We'll get to that next. Stay with us right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.